I'm gonna be brutally honest here. Consider it tough love. Vizio's TV division seems to have been struggling for a few years now. I'm not saying anything others aren't already thinking, sorry, but there may be hope for Vizio yet. In fact, it's possible that Vizio could be staging a rather significant comeback, and that could be huge news for consumers. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and I say this with no joy. I mean, my first flat panel TV was a 37-inch Vizio. There's always been a soft spot in my heart for the brand, so it's been hard for me to watch Vizio. Well, frankly, it's looked a lot like digging itself into a hole for the past few years. But from my seat, I think that's what happens when you double down on something that just doesn't work all that well. I don't know, maybe there's been some stubbornness among some decision makers within the company, but I think it is fair to say that Vizio's TV brand has taken some hits recently. I mean, remember, Vizio used to be the undisputed value king when it came to TVs. I said that for many, many years, and while it's managed to earn accolades recently for its sound bars, its TVs have seemingly stood still, while TCL and Hisense have just raced by. But I sense that some big changes are happening, changes for the better, and while I'll stop short of saying that I'm excited, I will say that I'm really encouraged, relieved even. But why? What's changing? Well, in short, Vizio is finally ditching its SmartCast smart TV platform and replacing it with a brand new interface called Vizio Home Screen. But is that really enough to resuscitate a brand on life support? In this case, I think it just might be. As I've gone back through my Vizio TV reviews over the past few years, there's definitely a recurring theme. SmartCast, because that's been my Vizio whipping post for a few years now, and I know I'm not the only one. SmartCast. Look, I'm sure there are a lot of smart people behind SmartCast, and I appreciate the effort and all. Thing is, I just don't like it. Yeah, definitely a theme there. I've even gone so far as to suggest that you bypass SmartCast entirely by using a Roku or Chromecast with Google TV dongle. That's not a great look. Now, even though SmartCast got better, Vizio managed to make it much snappier to navigate, decrease app loading times, and bolster app support. The layout continued to bother me. See, we've come to a point where even though Roku, Google TV, Fire TV, even Samsung's Tizen and LG's WebOS all sport many differences, there's a common theme among them when it comes to how you navigate and operate those systems. Simple things like menu layout, app layout, and organization. Those essential elements are made to feel familiar. SmartCast never really had that for me. It always felt like it required too much work. And if it's too much work for me, a TV expert, then you can imagine how it might feel to someone who was new to smart TVs or had gotten used to a competing platform. But now I feel like Vizio has successfully fixed all of that, which is huge. Their new interface is simply called Vizio Home Screen, and while I might have chosen a different name myself, I have to admit there's nothing wrong with that name, and more importantly, it's a good representation of the experience that you get when using it. As you can see here, we have a familiar looking home screen with a menu on the left rail, and as you scroll through the menu, you get access to what's contained within each section, which takes up all the rest of the screen real estate. There's a header up top, and then you can scroll deeper down below that. As you make selections, the banner is populated with new graphic content. It just looks better. It's got an easy on the eyes look with a dark background, the tiles are the right size, even the font is pleasant, and it feels better to navigate as well. There's even an on-screen virtual keyboard to make putting in usernames and passwords less of a hassle. Now, I haven't yet been able to dive in deep enough to determine how app support looks. I mean, most of the apps you want to access are here, sure enough, but whether they support Dolby Atmos, for instance. I haven't been able to confirm that on an app-by-app basis yet. That was one of the issues I had with SmartCast. New apps were slow to become available on the platform, and when they did, sometimes they weren't as fully featured as other systems. My hope is that that aspect improves as well. But Vizio Home Screen is definitely a huge step in the right direction because, as I've always said, no matter how good the picture quality is on a TV, if that TV is a pain to use, then you're not going to want to use it. Still though, in order for Vizio to stage a comeback, it's going to have to nail picture quality too. So Where is Vizio on that front? Well, frankly, Vizio has been doing fairly well in the picture quality department already. I don't think Vizio has a long road to hoe in terms of challenging TCL and Hisense when it comes to picture quality, but they do need to stay competitive, specifically in the brightness, contrast, and backlight control departments. Those are areas that all TV manufacturers are hyper-focused on, and they are areas that consumers are well honed in on as well. Vizio's new batch of TVs need to offer high brightness, and historically they have, with solid black levels, an area which could use a little improvement, and that's going to come down to backlight control. We need to see mini LED backlight systems with a high density of backlights broken down to as many tight little zones as possible, and the backlight control algorithm needs to be snappy so that we don't see active brightening and darkening on the screen. Vizio can do this. It's just a question of whether it will. If Vizio steps up to the plate in those areas, I feel like its performance in color accuracy, color volume, and upscaling are already in a really good spot. One area, though, in which Vizio has an opportunity to school its competition is in motion resolution. If Vizio can offer the best motion at the price, then that would be a real feather in its cap, because ultimately, Vizio needs to offer something that TCL and Hisense aren't. And to me, motion resolution, I'm talking about smooth cinematic content and blur-free sports without soap opera effect. That's Vizio's real opportunity for differentiation, in my opinion. And then, of course, there's price. I think Vizio needs to shed any ideas that just because its brand has been in the US market longer than TCL and Hisense, that it can justify slightly higher prices. It can't. Unless it can offer the best quality control in the mid-tier market. If Vizio can consistently put out clean screens that produce consistent picture quality results, then I suppose Vizio could charge just a bit more, because again, it could point to a real superiority in a specific area in which others are struggling. Otherwise, Vizio needs to meet or beat TCL and Hisense on price to performance and features. And then the final piece, and I just realized I'm kind of giving a recipe for success to Vizio here, which was not my original intention, but hey, let's go with it. The next piece is Vizio's going to need a massive branding campaign that I reckon is going to require some significant spending. Because TCL has locked down a partnership with the NFL, and Hisense is partnered with the NBA, meaning that those brands' names are going to be plastered all over two of the biggest sports in the US. Vizio is going to need to clap back with something just as impactful, if not even higher impact. So to answer the question I posed earlier, is a new smart TV OS enough for Vizio to stage a comeback? Maybe not quite enough. I think Vizio's going to need to do a little more. But I will say that the new Vizio home screen is a huge step in the right direction. With just a few more smart and probably expensive moves, Vizio could be the comeback story of the decade. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. What do you think about this? Think Vizio has a shot at making a comeback? What would you need to see from Vizio in order for one of its TVs to make your shortlist? Let me know down in the comments so we can talk about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. I'll see you on the next one. And until then, here's 2 other videos I think you might like.